There is a wall you cannot see, but you have felt it your entire adult life. It's the reason you've worked hard, genuinely hard, and still can't seem to get ahead. It's the reason every time you feel close to financial stability, something pulls you back. It's the reason the wealth building advice you've heard doesn't seem to work the way it works for other people. And the most dangerous thing about this wall is that most people who hit it spend their entire lives assuming it's their fault. They're not smart enough, not disciplined enough, don't earn enough, haven't found the right strategy yet. The wall isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility to understand it. Because once you can see it, once you know exactly where it is and what it's made of, you stop walking into it. And the people on the other side of this wall? They didn't get there because they were born with different abilities. They got there because someone showed them where the wall was. Today, I'm showing you. I want to be careful here because this isn't a video about class warfare or victimhood. I'm not interested in making you angry at wealthy people. Anger doesn't compound. Understanding does. What I am going to show you is a set of specific, documented structural differences in how financial information, financial products, and financial systems are presented to different income groups, and how those differences create outcomes that look like personal failure when they're actually system design. Once you understand the design, you can work around it. That's what this video is about. The invisible wall is not one thing, it's 5 things, stacked. And each layer has been so normalized that most people can't even identify it as an obstacle. They just experience it as the way things are. Together, these 5 layers create what researchers at the Brookings Institution call the wealth gap amplification loop, a self-reinforcing system where lower wealth produces conditions that make building wealth harder, which produces lower wealth, which produces the same conditions. You don't break this loop with motivation. You break it by identifying each layer and removing it deliberately. Layer 1, the information asymmetry. Wealthy families pass down financial knowledge the way other families pass down recipes. It happens at dinner tables, in casual conversations, in the assumptions embedded in how money is discussed, or whether it's discussed at all. The knowledge gap isn't about intelligence, it's about exposure. If you grew up in a household where investing was normal, you know what a Roth IRA is before you're 20. You know what an index fund is. You know not to touch retirement accounts. You know the difference between good debt and bad debt. This knowledge is available to everyone now through the internet, but it has to be actively sought, and most people don't know to seek what they don't know they're missing. Research from the National Financial Educators Council found that financial illiteracy costs the average American approximately $1,819 per year in avoidable fees, missed opportunities, and suboptimal decisions. Over a 40-year working life, that's over $70,000 before accounting for what those dollars would have compounded into. The wall starts with information, which is why you're watching this video. You're already removing the first layer. Layer 2, the product access gap. Here is something almost nobody talks about. The financial products available to wealthy people are structurally better than the products available to average income people. Wealthy investors get access to private equity, venture funds, and real estate syndications, with historical returns significantly above public markets. These are legally restricted to accredited investors, people with over $1 million in net worth or over $200,000 in annual income. The law was designed to protect unsophisticated investors. In practice, it reserves the highest returning asset classes for people who are already wealthy. Even within public markets, the gap exists. A person with $500 in a savings account earns 0.5% at a major bank. A person with $100,000 at the same bank earns 4.5% in a money market account. The same institution, the same deposited dollars, but the person with less money gets a dramatically worse return. This is not accidental. This is product design. The practical response: know what products you actually have access to and maximize them ruthlessly. A Roth IRA with a total market index fund is available to almost any working American, has zero fees, grows tax free, and historically outperforms 85% of actively managed funds. This is one of the best financial products in the world, and most of the people who qualify for it aren't using it. Layer 3: the time tax. Building wealth requires time, not just decades of compounding, actual hours each week to research, monitor, and manage financial decisions. And time is not distributed equally. Lower income workers are more likely to work multiple jobs, irregular hours, or physically demanding shifts that leave less cognitive bandwidth for financial planning. They're more likely to be dealing with logistical challenges, unreliable transportation, housing instability, caregiving responsibilities that consume mental energy that wealthier people can direct toward financial optimization. This is the cognitive scarcity finding from the landmark 2013 science paper by Mulanithan and Shafir. Financial stress itself consumes cognitive capacity in ways that make good financial decision-making harder. It's not that poor people make worse decisions because they're less intelligent. It's that the ongoing stress of scarcity uses up working memory that would otherwise be available for long-term thinking. The practical response: automation. Every hour you spend manually managing money is a vulnerability. Automated contributions, automated bill payments, automated rebalancing remove financial decision making from the stress environment entirely. The system runs whether you have bandwidth to think about it or not. Layer 4: the social spending trap. This layer is the most personal and the least discussed. Your social environment has a price tag. Research published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that social spending driven by the desire to maintain status within a peer group, represents up to 40% of discretionary spending for middle-income Americans. Dinners you didn't want to attend, gifts that stretched your budget, vacations taken to keep up, weddings attended across the country. Every social obligation that costs money you weren't planning to spend. Wealthy peer groups tend to socialize differently. Their version of keeping up often involves building wealth rather than displaying it. This isn't about abandoning your social life, it's about recognizing when your social life is consuming your financial future and making deliberate choices about where and how you draw lines. Layer 5: the emergency trap. The final layer of the wall is the one that resets everything else. Emergencies, and without a financial cushion, every unexpected expense is an emergency, force people to undo whatever financial progress they've made. A 2023 Federal Reserve report found that 37% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 unexpected expense without borrowing money or selling something. Not 4,000, 400. A car repair, a medical copay, a broken appliance. For 37% of Americans, any of these events triggers a financial crisis that might mean pulling from savings, charging a credit card at 22% interest, or missing an investment contribution. The rich have buffers. Buffers absorb shocks without derailing the system. For people without buffers, every shock is a setback, and enough setbacks create the feeling that progress is impossible, which creates the giving up behavior that makes the feeling accurate. The priority before any aggressive investing: 3 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account. Untouched, not invested, not in stocks. Liquid cash that converts emergencies into inconveniences. This buffer is the foundation that makes everything else survivable. I've tried all of this before and it didn't work. Here's the question I want you to honestly answer. When you tried before, had you identified which specific layer of the wall stopped you? Most people who tried and failed or attempting to execute the right behaviors inside a system they hadn't examined. They tried to invest without an emergency buffer, so a car repair ended it. They tried to cut spending without examining social obligations, so social pressure undid it. The behaviors weren't the problem. The sequence and the structure were. This time, build the structure first. I can't afford to focus on this right now. This is the scarcity mindset at work. The less financial stability you have, the more urgently you need a plan, not the less. Even $25 a month into a high-yield savings account starts building the buffer that eventually breaks the emergency trap. Start smaller than feels significant. Start today. The invisible wall is real. It isn't an excuse, it's a map. And the difference between people who stay behind the wall and people who get through it isn't that some people are stronger, it's that some people can see what they're climbing. You can see it now. Layer 1, information gap. You're closing it by learning. Layer 2, product access. Maximize what you have access to today. Layer 3, time tax. Automate everything. Layer 4, social spending. Get deliberate. Layer 5, emergency trap. Build the buffer first. 5 layers, 5 specific actions. None of them require a high income. None of them require perfect discipline. They require clarity about what you're actually dealing with. The wall was invisible. Now it isn't. What you do with that visibility is entirely up to you.